Hello, I'm Haley with Neuhaus Education Center. In this video, we are going to discuss describing during oral language and listening comprehension. Oral language and listening comprehension lessons are designed to build oral language in students. Oral language, which is listening and speaking, is a skill that students need a strong foundation in order to build reading comprehension and written expression skills. So describing helps build oral language for students. In describing activities, the teacher will take the students through the describing hierarchy in which they'll describe an object. Hopefully you as the teacher can bring in this actual object to your classroom. If you can't bring the actual object, you can always use a picture, and lots of those pictures are already sorted by unit on the Neuhaus Pinterest page. So when we're talking about oral language and listening comprehension lessons, we are using this manual, The Colors and Shapes of Language, which is your purple manual. Let's open up to Unit 4, which is on page 11, and we'll go through part of our describing activity. We hope that you can devote at least 5 to 8 minutes a day to building oral language for your students using this manual. And the describing activity should really just take one of those days, 5 to 8 minutes. You might be doing this during accurate and automatic reading during the read aloud section of that lesson plan. So if you look down here, you have your describing activity. It's activity 2. Like yesterday we did naming, which was our activity 1. Today we're doing describing activity 2. Right above activity 2, it's going to tell you what you need, the objects you need, and if you don't have the objects, you can use the pictures. So here for Unit 4, we need a jump rope, a piece of string, a yo-yo, and a can of tuna. And then it's going to take you through a loose script based on our describing hierarchy. So what is bolded is what you are going to be saying to students. It gives you directions of what you need to show or do, and then it also gives you some possible student responses. And if I turn the page here, you can see that first we are describing a jump rope, and B, we're describing a yo-yo, and it takes you through that right there, okay? So when we're talking about the describing hierarchy, what are we talking about? Here's our describing hierarchy, and you can find this chart on the Neuhaus website. But when we're talking about a describing hierarchy, first you're going to name the object, then you're going to name the category or categories that the object falls into. Then you're talking about the function, use, or purpose of the object, and then different attributes of the object. That can be color, size, shape, and feel. It could be making a comparison or a simile or a metaphor. So this is what you're going to lead students through for each object. You can also use sentence frames to help students do this. And remember, this is an oral activity, but you could give these sentence frames orally or have them written on the board. The name of the object is blank. A blank belongs in the category of blank or categories of blank. The purpose of a blank is to blank. The color, shape, and size are blank, blank, and blank. A blank is blank, then a blank, that's a comparison, or a blank is as blank as a blank. A simile or a metaphor could go in these last two. That might help students give a little bit of structure to your describing. So in order to prepare as the teacher, you need to, first of all, read through the entire activity in your manual. It's okay to have your manual out while you're teaching. It's a loose script for you to follow, and it's going to keep you on track. You also need to have the objects or the pictures that are called for in the manual ready to go so you can show students. The other thing I would do is think ahead of time of some possible answers that students are going to give you. So for example, when we're looking at our Unit 4 and you're looking at a jump rope, I want you to describe this jump rope, this object. Tell me the name, jump rope. Tell me some categories or groups that a jump rope would belong in. It gives you some possible responses, but you might want to sketch down in your manual a few other responses. You want to anticipate what students might come up with, or anticipate if you feel like they're going to struggle for language or they don't have a lot of world knowledge for something, so that you can help scaffold them to that right answer. The other thing you need to do to prepare is make sure that students know what's expected of them. During this time, just like in naming, you might have a little bit of controlled pandemonium. Students are going to be calling out their answers. It's a discussion. We're not waiting till someone raises their hand, and that's okay. You as the teacher will echo appropriate responses. If you have any more questions or want a little bit more guidance on how to go through a describing activity from oral language and listening comprehension, you can look at your OLLC training materials, or you can reference your Colors and Shapes of Language manual.